House of Representatives to summon FIRS fault banks as $30 billion probe begins. Africa projects 60% vaccines production by 2040. Women entrepreneurs to leverage on technology to grow businesses. Plus, oil prices climb for second day after U.S. stockpiles fall. This is Business Express reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us on business at this particular point in time, and we start by telling you that the House of Representatives Finance and Banking Joint Committee investigating over $30 billion annual revenue leakages has again stressed its determination to block the loopholes and address foreign exchange infractions. The Joint Committee stated this while listening to presentations by banks allegedly involved in the leakages. The report.
Among the issues raised by the committee were concealment and non-disclosure of crude oil lifting due for taxation, multiple allocations to holders of foreign inflow certificate of capital importation, and disappearance of naira proceeds of foreign inflows from accounts of Nigerian beneficiaries, among others. The committee vowed to extensively review all identified infractions.
Export proceeds for both oil and other commodities repatriation by exporters meant to reflate the economy, which were diverted by selling directly to other customers without corresponding taxes paid. The committee will be starting with all the banks that hold the accounts of all the foreign companies. These measures shall in foreseeable future lead to plugging all revenue loopholes towards saving the country from recurring upsurges in foreign exchange rates.
Representatives of the invited banks say large number of transactions mentioned did not attract withholding tax, and where applicable, evidence of tax receipts are available.
Withholding tax for purposes of this amount that has been alleged here applies only to dividend remittances and interest on loan repayment as guided by Foreign Exchange Miscellaneous Act and the FX Manual.
The committee has adjourned till next week for continuation of the investigation. From the National Assembly, Dayo Gunshola.
The 2021 supplementary budget of 895.8 billion naira transmitted by the executive to the National Assembly will be passed 2 weeks from now. Also to be passed within the same period are the Petroleum Industry Bill and the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, said this when the House reconvened plenary.
The presidential communication seeking the approval of the supplementary appropriation was the opener at Tuesday's plenary. The Speaker assured Nigerians that the three key legislations will be passed before the lawmakers commence the annual summer break mid-July.
We have our work cut out for us. There's so much to do, so it's going to be a heavy load, including the supplementary budget. 2 weeks is a very short time, but we must do this work and we must do it thoroughly.
The African Union says by 2040, African countries would produce at least 60% of the vaccines they use, as opposed to the 1% being manufactured in the continent currently. In a communique issued by the Partnerships for African Vaccine Manufacturing Task Force and made available to journalists, the union stated that developing local vaccine manufacturing in Africa would both answer a health security imperative and bring benefits in terms of improved livelihoods and economies. It noted that though a complex undertaking and not without risks, the situation presents a unique opportunity for action and unprecedented support from governments across the continent, as well as partnership with institutions across Africa and the globe, as well as the private sector. And moving on, the push for women to take advantage of technology to grow their businesses is again on the table as women converged on Abuja to brainstorm on the theme Unleashing the Nigerian Women Entrepreneur into a Connected Economy, an inauguration of new executives, Nigerian Association of Women Entrepreneurs, that is NAWI.
During late Maria Babangida, when she first inaugurated us, she laid the solid foundation for all of us to be where we are today.
We can continue to train our generation, a general population, and indeed women, on adopting technology for more effective and efficient entrepreneurial activities.
New and improved products, services of technology from entrepreneurs enable new markets to be developed and new wealth to be created.
A woman of resources will take care not only of her family, but of her village, of her community.
All we want is money and market for our goods, and that's what I'm sure she will work with.
We will not rest until the women of Nigeria begin to assess what is there for them.
Smart partnership, right policies, and strong political will are some of the pathways required for significant transformation of food system in Nigeria. These were part of the recommendations presented at the National Dialogue on the United Nations Food System Summit in Abuja. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
Food is one of the three fundamental needs for man's survival. It was observed after a series of exploratory dialogues that food systems in Nigeria are fragile and inequitable as a result of security threats. This consolidatory dialogue is leveraging on findings from the national dialogues across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, said infrastructure will be essential to achieving the set goals for both short and long-term plans.
Rural communities have identified the importance of market access, enhanced extension services, and better financing arrangements.
I call upon all stakeholders to join the efforts and to support the government and the people of Nigeria.
The dialogue also got the buy-in of the Nigeria Governors Forum.
There is need indeed also for us to have sustainable partnerships if we want to be able to achieve success when it comes to food system transformation.
Government is working to create a secure environment for farmers and the entire population so that we can work in peace and keep country on the right track towards achieving of food sustainability.
For the convener of the summit, Olushola Idowu, there are job opportunities along the food value chain.
The food system is an art and a business that will turn the fortune of a nation around and increase foreign exchange earnings through exportation of agricultural products.
Micronutrient deficiency, overnutrition, as well as other nutritional issues were considered for validation.
Efforts to make foods that are rich in the basic classes of food nutrients available and accessible to citizens will prevent malnutrition in all forms and reduce diet-related diseases.
The forum agreed that knowledge and increased awareness are keys in ensuring food security in Nigeria. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday.
And now to the conversations. Joining me to discuss rising food prices in the country is Uche Uwaleke, Professor of Capital Market and President, Association of Capital Market Academics of Nigeria. Prof, you're welcome to Business Experts.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, Benny.
Well, Prof, the inflation figures, what do we have? According to the NBS, we have food inflation rate falling by 22.95% from 22.75%. 4%, the first fall since like August 2019. But many argue that if there's actually any reduction, possibly it's insignificant, possibly, in your words, I'll say marginal. What's your take?
Yeah, I think that's correct. That was actually the second time. You recall the first time was in March, March to April, and then April to May. It was the second time it was reported, dropping from 22.7 to 22.2%. But I must say that it's getting to a point where a lot of people, I don't mean the uninformed, I don't mean the uneducated, okay? The educated people are even beginning to question, the veracity, authenticity of the numbers. I belong to this WhatsApp platform, professors of economics, professors of finance, and even statistics. And when the last figure was released, that food inflation actually dropped. Okay, and not only on a year-on-year basis, but even on a month-on-month basis, that raised a lot of questions. So it became a subject of debate. Okay.
So where did you stand in this debate and reasons?
Yes, I think food prices are actually going going up, and that also has to do with what we find in the fields, in the markets. Okay. The other day I was in a market to a particular shop to get something, and there was this argument between the cashier and the customer. The customer said that he came and bought a mudu of yellow gari for 600 naira the previous day. But this was even yesterday, and only for him to return the following day and was told the mudu of yellow gari was now 700 naira.
Wow.
Just
100 naira increase within hours.
And just a few days ago it was 500. So you now realize that what is actually happening is what the cashier actually gave as reason was that he got a call from the owner of the shop. No doubt about that. Okay. Look at a country that has, we are told, about 92 million hectares of land, out of which we can only cultivate 34 million hectares. Even 34 million is not optimally, utilized. So we still have ample room to expand production. Okay, even if you hold constant the other issues, maybe insecurity, you say you want to hold it constant, you also want youths all over the place that are not
engaged,
don't have jobs. So there is the issue of expanding output. There's also the issue of mechanization, which I mentioned, okay, because we need to move away from the crude form to mechanized agriculture. Only last year, okay, we read that the government was planning to take a loan of 1.2 billion naira, okay, for mechanized agriculture.
And we also had tractors distributed to 774 local governments of the Federation.
Yes, 630 something local governments. That's the tractor servicing center. The plan was to distribute these tractors and also have 140 processing plan. So what has been the level of implementation? So we need to do something about output. We also need to do something about of course the other things, the logistics. Okay, take for example, there's no reason why we are told food inflation is highest in Kogi at 32% and least in Abuja at 16.9%. Check the report, that's what it says. And look at Kogi and
the proximity.
So that tells you there's something wrong with distribution. So these are the things we should look into. On the mechanization, for example, we are told that Nigeria has just 7 tractors per 100 square kilometers.
That's so
While
small.
In Kenya it is 27 per 100 square kilometers. And at the standard, the minimum should have been 127 per 100 square kilometers. So with 7 tractors per 100 square kilometers, how can we compete with these other countries that have that? And the challenge is that our population is growing. Okay, our population is growing, and agriculture is one sector that has a lot of job creating potentials. It contributes about 24% to GDP, employs over 50% of the population. Okay, and if you compare that to the oil sector that is just about 10% to GDP and less than 5% of the population, and that is where you have very low employment elasticity in the oil sector. So the agri sector is one sector where we should give attention. So if I were the president, I would really give attention to this issue of agri revolution, mentioned even in the economic sustainability plan. Okay,
Those plans are
it is
there.
provided.
Yeah.
Yes, very good plans there, where it is provided that there should be a presidential task force on food, presidential task force on food and jobs in agriculture. Imagine if we, if that, were, functional. Just like we have we have a presidential task force on COVID, and of course that task force has done very well. But for the task force on COVID-19, probably the situation would have been worse today.
Yeah.
So the same way the task force, that also tells you that once we mean to do something in this country, we can get it right. So we need to have that presidential task force on food. Okay, and
to ensure food security and food sufficiency.
Yes, because it is a task force that will drive all of these initiatives we have in agriculture. Look at the ESP that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The ESP has plans to have between 20,000 and 100,000 hectares of land from each state of the federation, in conjunction with the state government. Of course, the federal government can't do it alone. Don't forget, land is still in the control of the state governors. Okay.
Okay, Prof. It's obvious.
Yes.
These challenges are unending.
Yes.
With the interventions that have come into play, how has that impacted in ameliorating some of these challenges you've highlighted?
Yes, the interventions, because of the magnitude of the problem, okay, compounded by insecurity. So the interventions don't appear to be yielding significant results.
The impact that should be seen.
Like the CBN intervention is very fantastic. Anchor Borrower program, has been adjudged, to be successful. But for me, they are stopgap measures, and they are still, tokenish, given the magnitude of the problem. Only recently, the central bank released, first it released 27,000 metric tons of paddy rice, okay, and
then maize came in too.
Maize also came in. So
yes,
we expect that these interventions, should help to bring down food price, but they are just stopgap measures. Okay, the measures I talked about earlier, actually medium to long-term measures that will really address the problem of food insecurity, in Nigeria. So the issue now has been gone beyond. People are no more bothered about nutrition security. Okay,
it's just what to get
food,
to fill the tummy,
just food security,
and just fill
exactly. So a country where you have over 30 million people, going to bed and hungry. So the challenge is actually food security. We're not even saying the quality of that.
Okay, talking about food security,
yes.
Nigeria is moving to become the largest producer of fertilizer. Would this help in food production?
Of course, it will help. It will help, especially if the farmers themselves, okay, have access to these, to these fertilizers. Okay, not just fertilizers, but farm inputs generally.
In general.
That's why I talk about, farm inputs. I also talk about access to extension services. I also talk about, the issue of even research. Funding research in agriculture. Again, if I were the president, I would make the study of agri-science in our tertiary institutions, I would make it free of charge to incentivize youth to go into agri-science. And as they're finishing, as they're graduating, you encourage them to form cooperatives and ensure that they have access to interest-free loans. To be able to go into...
Thank God for surviving COVID-19, where we have 5% as the interest rate on all the interventions that are going on, particularly for MSMEs.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you so very much, Professor Uche Owaleke, for sharing your thoughts with us. I think this is something we should do more and more.
Thank you, Benny. My pleasure.
Moving on, gold heads for worst monthly decline since 2016. Let's see the commodities market. Commodities oil prices on Wednesday extended the previous day's gains after about transportations at $75.16 a barrel after edging higher on Tuesday. U.S. crude was up 53 cents at $73.51 a barrel, having risen 0.1% in the previous session. Asia markets mixed. Drug maker Hutchmed debuts in Hong Kong. Bussadable has a global market update.
Markets are mixed this Wednesday as investors wrap up the first half of the year 2021 and take caution of the Delta COVID-19 pandemic, which has continued to tamper on investor sentiment. European stocks pulled back as the pandemic and inflation concerns lingered, but we're still on course for a strong first half of the year. DAX dropped 1.37%, FTSE 0.82% to close 7,021.38, and CAC 40 also dipped 1.24% to close 6,486.16. Meanwhile, major Asia markets were mixed by the close of Wednesday. Mainland Chinese stocks also appreciated slightly, with the Shanghai Composite topping 0.5% to close 3,591.2, while Hang Seng Index depreciated by 0.57% to close 28,827.95, and the Nikkei also dipped 0.7% to close 28,791.53. U.S. stock futures were slightly lower Wednesday as the markets get set to close out a winning first half of 2021 and second quarter. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average topped 0.03%. S&P 500 also topped 0.03% likewise, and the Nasdaq Composite 0.19%. For Africa, most stocks are negative as investors look forward to a more bullish market in the second half of the year. For Nairobi's all share, it was 0.15% higher at 172.09, while Tunisia's Tunidex, Namibia's overall index, Ghana's GSE Composite, and South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 were negative. That's the market review on the global markets. I am Boss Able. Back to.
And from the global markets, the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed transaction positive, with the all-share index appreciating and pegs at 37,907.28 basis points. 3,522 deals with a volume of stocks at 22.3 million exchange hands and valued at 3.231 billion naira. Equity cap was pegged at 19.76 trillion naira. Let's take a trip to the currency market and see how the naira is exchanging for other currencies. That wraps this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us by sending in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. Business Express returns tomorrow, Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Be safe out there.
This week on Executive Discuss. what do we need to do individually and collectively? Because it's worrisome.
Yes, its answer is very simple. The ball is back into the court of we Nigerians. 2023 is coming. We must take charge of the system. We must see it as a life or death matter. And we must ensure that we begin to insist that there should be free, fair, and credible elections, and that we must participate in it.
As he expresses his views on the ongoing constitutional review process, electoral reform, review of Nigeria's legal system, and more. Join us for an insightful discourse.
wannan labarin ma yana peji na 36.
Ita kuma babban labarin wannan jarida shine ainihin
babban labarin da ke gaban jarida shine ta bayyana cewa
ọkwa ojii ikenga eziokwu
nwanne m nwoke
Ikechukwu Ndukwe Igbo
mam iji wee mee ka ụbọchị na-aga n'anya ya ọjọọ na-ewutelu unu.
Nation fún ti òwúrọ̀ yìí ibẹ̀ náà ti sọ pé àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ aláṣẹ ìpínlẹ̀ Benue pàṣẹ wípé.
ní gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀ka ní ẹ̀ka ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní ẹ̀ka ètò ìlera ní ẹ̀ka ètò ààbò.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Benue State, the food basket of the nation, as it's fondly called, is tagged year after year. Fertile land and an agile, teeming population which effectively cultivates the land for the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians.
The state is located in the north-central part of Nigeria. The hospitality, which the people of Benue State are known for, is unrivaled, thus making the state an ideal place to live in. Therefore, serving as an inviting option to all people across Nigeria and the world in general. Nature is wonderful in its provision for the state. The highly hospitable people of Benue State and the unequaled agricultural resources are further boosted by the vast tourism potential spread across the states. Therefore, Benue State is more than just the food basket of the nation because it holds a strong place in the aspect of tourism. Ikwe Resort, Igbo, is one of the numerous tourist sites in Benue State. It covers a wide land area of beautiful landscape. Ikwe Holiday Resort was meant to be a complete package for tourists to view wild animals, the serene environment, and the natural fresh air that greets a visit or up the hill are great. Hence, development of the resort to full tourist site will do well in improving the economic viability of Benue State in particular and Nigeria at large. Another tourist site in Benue State is the J.S. Taka Foundation. It is located off Otukpo Road, Makurdi, Benue State. It provides a serene environment for tourists and other visitors to relax. The name J.S. Taka is not new to most people in Benue State and Nigeria at large, thus deserves the honor.
J.S. Taka happens to be the political icon of the Tea people, Benue as a whole, the North Central in whole, then Nigeria as a whole. It's a name that everybody knows. He's been someone that has really historically, politically touched the lives of our people. He's been someone that emancipated the Tea people, put them at the forefront of political engagements in Nigeria. So and for that purpose, Benue people saw it right just to honor him this way, to create that edifice where we propagate tourism based on bringing people here to see what the Tea people were all about, the Benue people were all about, and in the archives dig out to show the history of Benue as a whole. Thank you.
The combination of modern and traditional architecture makes the J.S. Taka Foundation unique in its own right and also an avenue to maintain the tradition of the Benue people. We also have the Dajo Pottery, which is another tourist site in Makurdi, Benue State. This is an example of private sector support to the government in diversification of the economy and promotion of made-in-Nigeria products. With initiatives of this nature, Nigeria will surely be better for it.
This is the sector that will place Nigeria to our dream vision 2020 if the Lord tarries. Because what God has given Nigeria in this sector as raw material clay is what the Chinese have discovered, and today they are an economic force to be reckoned with.
The ingenuity of Nigerians and ability of Nigeria to compete favorably at the global level in terms of quality of products is on display at Dajo Pottery, Makurdi. Let us now x-ray Makurdi Zoological Garden, which stands out as a tourist site in Benue State. The garden is a government-preserved area for the protection of fauna and flora. It is also where animals are kept in cages. It's therefore an example of closed open zone.
Zoological Garden is #1 tourist center attraction in Benue State. So when the people come here, they view the natural environment, the games, that is the animals, which are contained in the animal holding pens. That is an area where the cages are kept, apart from the general periphery of the garden.
The open area of the zoological garden has a natural area for undisturbed growth of variety of plant species, which at the same time makes it an ideal dwelling place for birds naturally. Of the zoological garden, you'll find a number of bird species which provide a good sight. One of them is the peafowl, which is one of the most beautiful birds around. Although caged, they have ability to eat almost everything they can fit in their beak. Range, a bird with distinctive appearance, having long neck and legs, that is, the ostrich. That the long neck and legs keep their height up to 2.8 meters above the ground, and their eyes are said to be the largest of any vertebrate, being 50 millimeters in diameter, which helps them to spot predators at a great distance. Other bird species are also provided with dwelling places in Makurdi Zoological Garden, and the joy of the tourist is further heightened. These birds and other animals are kept in the garden to serve purposes other than tourist purposes as well.
The animals are kept here for the number one, the study of scientific.
The students who go to the zoological garden to study will surely have a story to tell.
Cages we have here, and the daily activity, and also trying to cook for them, especially the chimpanzee. So these are the daily things, or daily routine we always carry out here.
Some of the animals in my life, I've only heard of them, like chimpanzee, ostrich, and even the geese. It was my first time of seeing them, although I've only heard of them, that they exist. So, but I have come frequent day by day. I get to know how they feed, how they take their water, and how they relate with human beings. So some of them, they have a level of intelligence as to identify those that feed them. I got to know their characteristics, how they behave, and even when they're hungry, their reactions.
I find the porcupine most interesting because it has an intelligent way of communicating. For example, whenever it's hungry now, you see it's knocking its teeth on the cage as a means of telling the zookeepers and everyone around that it's hungry and so it needs food. So with that behavior, I find it very interesting.
Presence of animals of various kinds further testifies to its prominence as a center of knowledge and tourism. Monkeys of different species are caged at the Makurdi Zoological Garden. Their movement from one point of their cage to another is indeed a display to watch and surely a beauty to behold. Again, the Makurdi Zoological Garden makes it possible for visitors to view closely this species of great apes in the gymnosperm. The chimpanzee, this mammal, which possesses great amounts of muscle strength, is kept for the viewing pleasure of visitors. The chimpanzee in the Makurdi Zoological Garden has become familiar with human visits. It thus shows it's being lively during such visits as it enjoys the company of visitors and tourists in the garden.
AKOOGO. OOGO. Yes, sir.
What is it telling you?
The zoological garden also has in captivity spotted hyenas, which ordinarily will live in large communities called clans. This is to keep them safe for tourists to watch and for educational purposes.
What's up?
He wants to pull the person. They want to pull him through a crossing.
So that as you go closer, you will bite.
So if that thing escape here, they will close the school automatically.
It's angry already.
Typically, lions inhabit the savanna and may take to bushes and forests. In the wilderness, male seldom lives more than 10 to 14 years. In captivity, however, they can live for more than 20 years. In this, the Makurdi Zoological Garden contributes in keeping the generation of lions alive. This offers an opportunity for the king of mammals to be watched closely, and the joy that follows such an experience is simply wonderful.
Very lazy, cannot even stand up or. Someone call her winner. You know.
He's a son.
He can stand up.
Presence of all these and other animals makes the Makurdi Zoological Garden answer its name. The expanse of land it covers links to the river Benue, one of the features of Benue State.
The importance of the river is that some people heard about River Benue, and when they come, they either see the river, they either buy fresh fish from the river, from the, the fishermen, and the water also help to serve the animals when the water lines are not flowing. So they make use of the water from the river. And also, it's also attraction. And as you can see from the beach, we have a beach area. That is where people come and do their regular activities at any time. Because when you stay here, you get most cool breeze around the river side. So people like to come and then share their ideas, do all their get-together parties and birthdays, picnic, and the rest.
River Benue is the second largest river in Nigeria. Exploring rivers at different times are accompanied by different experiences. We sought to explore the River Benue, this time during the dry season, and indeed the experience is worth the efforts. For the sights at the beautiful river banks, the sandy areas, and the cool breeze that blows our minds as we sail on a chartered canoe was simply wonderful. Our destination is a confluence of River Taraba and River Katsina-Ala.
Now the point I'm standing is an island called Atinge within the River Benue axis. But then one interesting thing is this is a confluence of River Katsina-Ala and River Taraba, and this is where they meet, and then all of them contribute to the River Benue.
Sailing back to the riverbank of the confluence after exploration is not less entertaining and breathtaking. The culture of keeping birds and other wild animals even in hotels for visitors to view is gaining popularity across many hotels in Makurdi, Benue State. This is to add to the nature gifts of tourist sites in the state. Apart from being the food basket of the nation, Benue State holds its ground in the area of tourism, both natural and man-made. Only a visit to this tourist sites will reveal more to you, because our experiences at that remain long-lasting.
For anyone who values financial security and ultimately desires financial freedom, creating at least one additional stream is no longer a luxury. It has become a necessity. Diversifying your income stream is crucial to protect yourself and your family against the unavoidable ups and downs of economic and industry cycles. Because of the financial risk that comes from relying on one source of income, such as a job or a business, consider creating at least one or more additional streams to generate cash flow. The benefits of having multiple streams of income include peace of mind because you know there will always be money to spend. Also, you will earn much more than you currently earn from your day's job. Therefore, you will live bigger and better. Your additional income streams can be active, passive, or a combination of the two. Some may pay you for doing something that you love, active, while others can provide income for you without having to do much of anything at all, passive. Here are multiple streams of income opportunities: selling information in hard book format, selling information in the form of downloadable ebooks, making money from referral opportunities, training classes, consulting opportunities, dealership opportunities, design opportunities, manufacturing opportunities, investment opportunities. The list is definitely not exhaustible. To create wealth, you must make investment that will create dependable streams of income flows, independent of your main source of income. The time to act is now. Begin implementing this practice, and before you know it, within months, you can be enjoying the benefits and the financial security and freedom that comes from having multiple streams of income.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.
Angelina, you dey cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is Talking Movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder. No!
Stop it! Welcoming you to your weekend for today.
Arise, oh, compatriots. It's time to use our voice.
Beyond Six Packs.
Bills.
Pay the bills. Keep paying my telephone bills. Pay my bills.
Welcome to Gallery.
Me and my parties.
London for what?
London for medicine.
Medicine for what?
Medicine for coffee.
Are you sickness?
To our illness. Welcome to Gist Zone.
All right, my name is the Eselucien Wego One. Ona nyokoko nyonyo.
Thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I'm Elizabeth Omori. President Muhammadu Buhari has sent a congratulatory message to his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping, on the occasion of the country's 100th anniversary of founding of the Communist Party of China. President Buhari, in a letter to the Chinese leader, said China has succeeded in building a moderately prosperous society and is on the way to building a modern socialist country. The president commended remarkable success made by China against the COVID-19 as affirms that Nigeria-China relations has witnessed an increasingly enhanced political trust, closer, mutually beneficial economic and trade relations, and cumulatively dynamic people-to-people exchange between the two countries. He added that Nigeria highly values the bilateral cooperation with China under the initiatives of Belt and Road Initiative and within the framework of the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation, which have brought tangible benefits to Nigeria and its people. Senate has passed the bill seeking to amend the Firearms Act of 2004. This followed the consideration of the report of its Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, which recommended that the current fine of 1,000 naira be increased to 5 million or 3 years imprisonment, or both, as fine for any person found guilty of importing or in possession of illicit firearms. This legislative intervention is primarily to deter smugglers of firearms and light weapons into Nigeria.
And coordinated disarmament process and destruction of all illegal firearms by the Office of the National Security Advisor in order to prevent the firearms from re-entering our communities. And 3, to take proactive measures and sustain legislative strategy to address the underlying factors facilitating the circulation of illegal firearms and block every loophole to curtail proliferation of illicit firearms in the country.
In a bid to build public confidence in the overall efforts targeted at preventing and curtailing the circulation of illegal firearms in the country and for related matters, 2021 third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. I'm sure this will go a long way in supporting the fight against the so much insecurity we have in the country.
Meanwhile, 3 senators defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, citing crisis in the state chapter of the party as reason. Senator Sahabi Yao, Zamfara North, Lawali Hassan, Anka, Zamfara West, and Senator Peter Unwaboshi, Delta North. In keeping to its commitment of ensuring accelerated passage of the 2021 supplementary budget, the House of Representatives has passed it for second reading. This is coming 24 hours after the presidential request was read at House plenary. The chairman of the Special Harder Committee on Petroleum Industry Bill, Mohammed Tahir Mongunu, also laid at plenary the committee's report for consideration and passage. And out to security, the Nigeria Police Force has developed a safety and security mobile app named the Police VGS Scope to enhance emergency reporting and response system. Security correspondent Francis Form reports that the app responds real-time to command and control centers within 5 seconds.
Kidnapping, armed robbery, banditry, terrorism, emergencies and natural disasters are what the new police app seeks to address.
There is always some 2 seconds when you will realize that you are in danger. And what you need to do is to push the panic button or do this way or press the code.
We therefore employ Nigerian and members of the diplomatic community to adopt this application as a reporting tools so as to bring insecurity in Nigeria to the terrorist minimum.
Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama, excited by the innovation, calling on Nigerians and the diplomatic corps to make the best use of it in addressing security challenges.
That's excellent, and this is the kind of thing we need. And what fascinates me, I think, the most is that you're saying that once you swipe, whatever happens to the phone, even if you've turned it off, that it still transmitting, and I think that's very important.
The Police VGS Scope is an artificial intelligence mechanism developed by the Nigeria Police Force in crime management. Franks is from NTA News.
The need to rework the nation's economy from planning to growth and sustainable development dominated discussion in a Zoom meeting at the second edition of National Leadership Dialogue Series in Abuja. Omenka Amarachuku monitored the event in our reports.
Nigeria is experiencing unprecedented security challenges ranging from militancy to kidnapping and banditry. These social menaces have affected the socio-economic growth and development of the nation. It is in view of this that the second edition of the Leadership Dialogue Series organized a leadership summit on the front line of creating a new Nigeria.
Beneficiaries of economic growth and development must be encouraged to contribute and drive the economic process that affects them.
The young ones are speaking with that much passion about our country.
Paper presentations focused more on planning and adoption of merit system in government dealings.
There are demands for you to be able to initiate the sustainability or shared prosperity model. And there are 15 enablers, there are 15 broad enablers, and then 8 supporting enablers.
We also need to speak more to people in the grassroots and see how to encourage them to move more into entrepreneurship. Because that is the only way in which our country can move.
Encouraged to have vocational skills. People should be encouraged to set up their businesses. People should be encouraged to just try alternative things. Yeah, so not everybody can do a 9-to-5 job. And frankly, there aren't even enough 9-to-5 jobs available at the moment. The world is moving in such a way that job creation is a function of people's skills. Yeah, empower our people, give them vocational skills.
Participants across the country joined the program virtually. Omenka Amarachuku, NTA News.
The rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu after 4 years of jumping bail in Nigeria has been described as deterrent to other criminals, that the rule of law must prevail and no criminal has a hiding place. This was part of submissions by curator Abuja Shapers Community Joan Toby Wujola on Good Morning Nigeria. Wujola noted that the rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu was made easier through the help of Interpol.
He has committed a crime according to the charges that have been brought before the courts. The courts should decide if those charges indeed are true, and let him defend himself. This is the rule of law, and it's a very, very commendable process we have seen so far.
To the importance of collaboration between internal and extra-territorial security agencies to make their work easier and faster in apprehending criminals across borders.
Governments across the world understand that criminality, like I said, is not limited to your borders. And the people can commit a crime here and run away and escape there. So there's now a consensus that we must help each other if we must fight crime.
In an attempt to make the Administrative Criminal Justice Act 2015 efficient and effective, as well as create access to justice for all, stakeholders from justice sector across the country are in Abuja to brainstorm on how to chart a way forward.
The quest for a speedy trial and respect for rule of law formed the passage of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. 6 years after, there are still emerging issues and challenges affecting the smooth implementation of the Act. That is why this meeting of stakeholders is taking place to deliberate on the proposed national minimum standards for implementation of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 and that of the various laws of states of the Federation, with the aim of amending the Act to promote speedy dispensation of justice for all.
A lot has been achieved. High-profile corruption cases have been concluded. Many cases, in fact, asset recovery. Nigerians, the EFCC, ICPC have secured humongous assets that are recovered, that have been recovered, for the country. However, there's still room for improvement. You see, there are a lot of provisions that need to be strengthened, to make sure that there is access to justice to all Nigerians.
The practical application of AJA in our courts has, shown us that there are challenges with the law. Nothing in life is perfect, but we need to strive as human beings to attain perfection.
Recommendation from the meeting, organized by Center for Social Legal Studies, is expected to come up with proposals that will strengthen democracy and rule of law.
Niger State House of Assembly has passed into law a bill prescribing death sentence on kidnappers and their informants, also on cattle rustlers in the state. Musa Mikaila reports.
The state has in recent time witnessed upsurge in banditry and kidnapping, leading to the sacking of many rural dwellers from their communities. The state government, in its effort to find a lasting solution to the challenges, presented a bill for a law to amend the Kidnapping and Cattle Rustling Law 2016 to include their informant in the state to the state lawmakers.
The committee recommends the following amendment.
The House, after receiving the report, dissolved into Committee of the Whole, where the reports were considered phrase by phrase, clause by clause, and thereafter passed into law after third reading.
Because informant means any person who discloses any material information that leads to the commission of kidnapping and cattle rustling as provided by this law. Those in support of this say aye. Those against say nay.
It is hoped that the new law, when it becomes operational, will deter perpetrators of heinous crime threatening the peace and security of the state. From the State Legislative Complex, Musa Mikail, NTA News.
4 inmates of the Kuje Custodial Center have been awarded academic degrees by the National Open University. Victor Azu reports that they are part of 23 inmates nationwide to have completed various academic programs with the institution.
In 2006, the Kuje Custodial Center became home to Chinedweze after he was remanded on trumped-up charges.
On that judgment day, the judge, he said, having been with this case for 14 years now, I found out that there is no link between what police are saying and the detention of the suspect in the prison for 14 years.
Chinedu lost his freedom for so long, but discovered himself in the process. He arrived at the facility without a secondary school certificate, but left with a master's degree. Now a free man, he rejoins 3 inmates at the Freedom Chapel of the Kuje Custodial Center to receive his master's degree certificate as best graduating student of the center. "19 others also received certificates in custodial centers across the country. It's a feat that officials consider heartwarming, given the peculiar circumstance of their awardees.
There are people like you outside who are very free, who cannot accomplish what you have accomplished during your stay here in this correctional center. So it's a special privilege. It's a special effort from you.
With the certificate at their hand, and they have the assurance that they are going to be acceptable by any industry, by government, by the society at large, they have their freedom.
More than 700 inmates are currently pursuing various degrees at the National Open University of Nigeria at no cost to them. Many more are discovering their hidden talent. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
Well, that's good news. Thank you so much, Victor, for that report. Time now to head to Lagos, where Hingino is standing by with some reports for us. Hello, Hingino.
Thank you, Lizzie. Good to see you.
Fulfilling one's lifetime ambition has no restriction, but depends on the zeal to achieve against all odds. This relentlessness was demonstrated as 8 inmates serving at various custodial centers in Lagos bagged master's and bachelor's degree in various fields of learning. Michael Olaleye reports that the inmates described the certification as an opportunity to rebuild their lives.
This is the maximum security custodian center in Kirikiri, and behind the bricks and bars, learning thrives. 65-year-old Afolabi, an inmate, is equally a student. He came into this center in 2005, and after awaiting trial for 11 years, he was sentenced to death in 2016. Although his terms have been reviewed to 18 years, but the time spent has been eventful, having gotten both his bachelor's and master's degrees right inside these walls.
I'm so happy to achieve this certificate. Even if I'm outside, I don't think I will have opportunity to go. I will face my children for their education.
Faith, a mother of one, was on the verge of securing admission when she accidentally found herself here. Today, she's fulfilling a lifetime ambition.
And I ever asked my people to get me my WAEC result, and then they were like, you know why it is over there. My people refuse that. They're trying to get me out. I'm trying to go to school, so I have to sit for GCE again here. I enrolled for WAEC and I passed, and I enrolled into National Open University.
The Correctional Center in Lagos is using the case of Faith and Afolabi to emphasize the reformative role of the center in remodeling character.
It is a privilege that you have for a second chance to rebuild your life. If you go out with a degree, I'm convinced that you'll find a better means of living rather than the one you had before.
This goal falls within the mandate of the National Open University of Nigeria of bringing learning to the doorsteps of the people.
Government can say, because of the change in behavior we have seen, let's give you the latitude or the freedom for you to express another opportunity again.
The Custodian Center in Kirikiri is impacting various skills on inmates, some of which will be handy if they eventually regain freedom. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Ikotunegbe, a suburb of Lagos and one of the very old communities in the state, was on a daily basis characterized by business activities and heavy vehicular traffic. The story is no longer the same, and residents of the densely populated community are already counting their losses. Annie Daniels has details.
Bolorunpelu is the host community of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, and like other neighboring communities, businesses have nosedived. And that's because they now have few people coming to patronize them. In fact, what I see here are just mostly hotels.
Some individual, the landlord, have even quitted their environment for people to lodge.
Like this one we are looking at, a room per night is up to 50,000 naira. But right now, you can get it as low as 5,000.
We're only hoping and praying that maybe after the burial, the church will continue.
Authorities of the Synagogue Church of All Nations are optimistic businesses will pick up again, even with the demise of its founder.
Teaching his legacy is very, very strong in the hearts of everyone involved here. And a very central part of that was love for our fellow neighbor and charitable activity.
Meanwhile, activities lined up for the funeral of late Prophet Temitope Balogun Joshua have been released to the public to commence from the 5th to the 11th of July 2021.
We are collaborating with relevant state security agencies to ensure that we do not breach any public health safety protocol.
Prophet TB Joshua died on the 5th of June 2021. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
It's now time for a break. Nationwide will continue shortly with Elizabeth in Abuja.
During
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
Thanks for staying with the NTA. Religious leaders have been urged to lay emphasis on the propagation of religious harmony, which will in turn bring about peaceful coexistence among the diverse citizens of the country. John Cardinal Onaikan said this while attending a summit on peaceful coexistence among Nigerians in Abuja. Abdullah Mohammed reports.
The last part of the lyrics of the national anthem, Peace and Unity, sets the tune for the summit. The venue moderate, and so those in attendance. But the message from the Archbishop Emeritus comes with a louder voice. He urged religious leaders to amplify their voices against the proponent of hate, as well as preaching religious harmony in places of worship.
I fear that the content of what they are teaching in our country today really exposes the listeners and the learners and worshippers to messages of human fraternity. How many pastors and reverend fathers talk about good relations with Muslims in their Sunday services? And do imams take the trouble to talk about good relations with Christians in their worship sessions on Friday? We have to work on this if we are to achieve some amount of religious harmony as a condition for peaceful coexistence.
His message rang a bell, with the convener of the summit taking a cue against secession and threats to peace in the country.
If we must repeat history, it should never be a history of hate, a history of war, a history of religious and ethnic segregation, a history of violence and bloodshed. Rather, it should be the history of love, a history of peace, unity, and harmony.
A play by some school children says it all.
Unity in diversity, peaceful coexistence is possible. Thank you.
In Abuja, Abdullah Mohammed.
The sustainable path towards attaining a social status free from illicit drug consumption and arms proliferation is being advocated as a tool to curtail the increasing involvement of youth into the unlawful practice. Guests on NTA's Tuesday Live proposed the approach and other solution-driven measures in bridging the gap between drugs and arms misuse for a secured society. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
The age-long practice of drugs trafficking and abuse that is synonymous with continued arms proliferation and violence is raising concern among stakeholders as the phenomenon keeps on rising.
For those who are encouraged to get into criminality, they require what we lawyers call Dutch courage. Dutch courage is brought about when you have, when you ingest a drug, illegal drugs which are harmful. When it is ingested, you become you have this braggadocio. You think, yes, I can kill, I can do this, I can maim, and so on.
Guests on NTA Tuesday Live suggest the collaboration of key players to check the ugly development with perhaps through effective legislations to prosecute offenders.
The first time I took Igbo, I appeared taller, and people before me appeared smaller. This is very important. And if that is the experience, you can see that truly, physically, the objects you see before you are altered. So how do you connect that to crimes? Now, drugs helps you to get to arms. That's the point here. It will remove the fear of the consequence of holding that weapon which is outlawed. Do you see the problem? That altered state of consciousness.
It is the drug that lead to the quest for the arms, and at the same time, arm would also be used on the other pipe in order to search for the drug, because the drug is going to be the motivator. The arms will facilitate to create the insecurity paradox that we are talking about the nation.
As experts continue to brainstorm on the possibility of the future that is free from drugs abuse and unauthorized use of weapons, stakeholders believe interagency synergy will guarantee success in that direction. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And in other news, President Muhammad Buhari rejoices with the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tunji Bello, as he turns 60 years on July 1, 2021. President Muhammad Buhari, in a statement, applauded the accomplished journalist, political scientist, lawyer, and public administrator who has shown that through hard work and the grace of God, the door of success remains wide open. The president encourages the younger generation to draw inspiration from the celebrant, who, as a reporter with the then Concord Press, rose to the position of editor. Mr. Bello also served as chairman editorial board at This Day and subsequently Commissioner for Environment in Lagos State, Secretary to the State Government, and now Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources. President Buhari equally felicitates with the media family, the legal profession, as well as family and friends of the celebrant, wishing Bello longer life and greater service to God and humanity. Now to education. The federal government is determined to take in more bold steps to develop a system that will prepare citizens with adequate knowledge to enable them to take competitive advantage of the 21st century-driven economy. The Minister of State Education, Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, stated this at the launching of Better Education Service Delivery for All in Katsina. Awal Halir reports.
The program is an initiative geared towards addressing the high number of out-of-school children in the country. The focus of the educational project is on the 17 states identified with the highest number of such children. In view of the highest number of out-of-school children in Nigeria, and for government to overcome the challenge, the quality of education must be strengthened by confronting all the factors denying access to education. It is in the light of this that the Better Education Service Delivery for All is launched in Katsina.
This cardinal objective is to increase equitable access, improve literacy, and strengthen assessing our capability or results at the basic education level.
Katsina State government described the program as a welcome development, considering the fact that the education sector is the #1 priority in its development plan tagged the restoration agenda.
The government has given this program the necessary attention it deserves.
Other stakeholders assured more resolve to reducing the number of out-of-school children in the state. In Katsina, Awal Haliru, NTA News.
Talking judiciary and ethics, Nigeria needs men of courage, diligence and determination in an independent judiciary to strengthen the country's democracy. Members of the bar and bench at a valedictory court session in honor of retired Chief Judge of Akwa Ibom State, Justice Godwin Abraham, insisted that the time has come to practice law as a beacon of justice. Clement Barikwe reports.
Jurists at this valedictory court session are of the opinion that to advance justice and defend truth, independence of the judiciary is a necessity.
They should be made autonomous. We should have more courts.
The structures as it is now does not guarantee access to justice to the common man.
Retired Chief Judge of Akwa Ibom State, Justice Godwin Abraham, having spent 34 years in both the bar and bench, identified non-adoption of alternative dispute resolution as a major setback to quick justice dispensation in the country.
All that we need to do is to set up a state account allocation committee, SAC, with a sharing formula to sit monthly and agree on the funds allocation to each arm of government regarding to the monies accruing to the state, whether from FAC or IJA.
The inspection of guard mounted by officers and men of the Nigeria Police and the judiciary staff was high point of the retirement ceremony in honor of Justice Godwin Abraham. And this is the end of an era and the beginning of another one. In Uyo, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
Nigerians must take it upon themselves to build the image and reputation of the country to attract foreign investments and other opportunities for development. This was the position of speakers at a forum to celebrate achievements of Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Abuja chapter. Joseph Watson has details.
It is a gathering to honor new council members and fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Abuja chapter. However, key players in the management of information and public relations also see it as an avenue to forge a front towards building positive reputation for Nigeria.
So in our country, where everywhere is suffused with hate speech, with fake news, with falsehood, everything turned upside down, it will matter that reputation is managed.
There's only one strategy of selling any country in the world. It's called the SWOT analysis. Strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. But we found out that only with NIPR, you can change weaknesses to become opportunities.
There seems to be a conspiracy to cripple the country. It is our duty, sacred one for that matter, to come in, intervene, and see what we can do.
NIPR, you manage reputations. With NIPR, you have peace. And once you have peace, you have security.
A vital take-home from this meeting is for heads of organizations to apply the expertise of public relations officers for improved communication skills among colleagues to a better relationship, peace and stability. In Abuja, Joseph Otsen, NTA News.
And Obey in our Benin studio has the next set of reports for us on Nationwide. Hello, Obey.
Elizabeth, many thanks for joining us here in Benin. Edo State government is to create a system where every citizen will have quality and effective healthcare services, irrespective of the hospitals they use. This is as the state government says it will lay emphasis on basic primary healthcare. Governor Godwin Obaseki disclosed this new plan in a keynote address at the Edo State Healthcare Transformation Workshop in Government House. Elizabeth Omoko reports.
The workshop gathers stakeholders in the health sector to brainstorm on the current state of the system and profile solutions to improving the system, with focus on the emerging health sector reforms of the state government. For Governor Obaseki, the healthcare system built 50 years ago has been faulty, and to transform it, stakeholders must first stop casting blames, have trust for one another, and must see the healthcare system as one. The stakeholders have this to take away.
Those of us that are giving health services, we have to be more empathic and have compassion for our people.
It is to assist him achieve those transformational policies he has.
With these insights provided by the state government to improve the healthcare system of the state, it is expected that these stakeholders will walk the talk and never allow the system to return to status quo. From Government House in Benin City, Elizabeth Omoko, NTA News.
And from health now we move to security matters. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 5, comprising Edo and Delta States, AIG Isaac Akimoyede, says the command re-strategized with the police commissioners and principal officers to combat prevalent crime in the zone. He said this during his visit to NTA Benin Network Center to familiarize with the management and applauded NTA for always maintaining objectivity in reportage of security issues. Dennis Temple has more.
Identifying some of the crimes prevalent in the zone, such as youth indulgence in drug-related issues, human trafficking and illegal migration, as most common in the zone. The AIG, however, said cases of violent crimes such as terrorism, kidnapping, banditry, religious and ethnic killing have come down in the area, explaining that no place is absolutely free from crime. The AIG, however, assured that the new strategies mapped out would further enhance effective and efficient security of life and property in the zone.
There is no place or no state or no community in this world that crime is not being committed. You have to identify the kind of crime that is prevalent in an area, and then when you identify this crime, then you have to be able to sit down to strategize, to ensure that the zone is peaceful, because we know that if this zone is peaceful and other zones in the country are peaceful, then the country itself will be peaceful.
The police boss was in NTA Benin Network Center, where he solicited effective collaboration between the police and NTA organization. In Benin, Dennis Temple, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Nationwide continues with Elizabeth in Abuja.
Finally, Euro 2020 is here. Enjoy all the matches live on Star Times for only 1,700 naira monthly or 160 naira per day. Recharge now to enjoy all the matches. Watch Cristiano Ronaldo of Portugal, Mbappe of France, Lukaku of Belgium, and other top European football stars. No matter where you are, Star Times is here for you. You can enjoy all these matches on your mobile phone. Just download Star Times on app on your phone to watch all the matches for 1,000 naira monthly or 400 naira weekly. Recharge today with 1,700 naira monthly or 160 naira daily. That's right, you heard me. On Star Times, you can watch all the matches with monthly subscription of 1,700 naira or daily subscription of 160 naira. Terms and conditions apply. Star Times, enjoy digital life.
Glad to know you're still there. Let's now head to Kaduna, where Salamatu will be our guide. Hello, Salamatu.
Hello, Elizabeth, and a warm welcome to Kaduna. Emir of Zazzau, Ambassador Ahmad Nuhu Bamali, has added his voice against all forms of abuse against women and gender violence. The Emir, who was speaking when he granted audience to a delegation of USAID who paid him an advocacy visit, says the culture of silence in reporting sexual assault and gender violence must stop. Sagir Muhammad Awal reports.
Social-based violence is a common problem in Nigeria. To address the challenges, Program Manager USAID and Nigerian Early Recovery Initiative Omokedi Chukodi visited Emir's Palace Zaria to intimate the royal father of need for social collaboration to tackle prevalence rates. She emphasized the need for traditional leaders in Zazzau Emirates to create awareness so that victims can seek for redress.
We know that this advocacy to the Emir of Zazzau is key for us. The subjects will listen to him because he has openly said today that the Emirates has a zero tolerance to SGBV.
Emir of Zazzau Ambassador Ahmad Nubamli says the culture of silence must be stopped, adding that communities must report such cases to relevant authority.
It is very important to us because women are the mothers of our society, and if they are well protected and shielded from any form of humiliation, certainly the society will be a better place to live.
Emir Nubamli says Zazzau Emirate will continue to stand against societal challenges that prevent growth and development. From Zaria,